This is SUNY Sullivan. I am your host, Mike McGuire, joined today, as we are each week, by the chairman, Rob Doherty. How we doing, Rob?
I'm pretty good. Yourself, Michael?
We are doing great. The weather is starting to turn. You can feel...
Turn. It was 81 degrees the other day, and tomorrow's like 40.
Right. Well, it's turning. It's turning left. It's turning right. It's turning all over. But you're starting to get the feel as more activity, and we know we're getting close to that summer season. So since this is the last show before our next show, I thought this would be a really good time to get an idea over the first 5+ months of 2026, where we are, where the county is. We're 2.5 years into the current legislature.
Yeah, we are.
I thought that we would take an objective look at how things are going.
Mike, I only talk in facts.
That's it. We bring the receipts all the time. Last night I had an opportunity to be with our treasurer, Kathleen Lara. She is the treasurer, even though that she doesn't want to come on the show. She is the treasurer, and we love Kathleen. And I was happy to hear that the bed tax, you remember the bed tax, that was $900,000, and got it up to about $3 million, and it would never get over $2 million. You got it up over $3 million. Correct. And by doing that, you were absolutely sticking it to the SCVA.
SCVA, members there, they used to hold meetings at the SCVA about how to get rid of Rob Doherty. Right?
So you had really stuck it to them.
Yeah.
And now I understand that this year, the bed tax is over $4 million.
So it went from $900,000 to over $4 million.
And that's just a continued growth to what you did by bringing online all of those other platforms.
Correct.
So that's terrific. We're at $4 million, and in, I think it was March of 2025, the state passed some legislation finally starting to corral those short-term rentals that started off as, hey, well, we're gone for the weekend, you can stay in our house, to now where it's more than 50% of our overnight guests.
Well, it was in our tenure, and the former, I guess, president of the SCVA. I don't know her exact title.
Right. Roberta.
Flat out badmouthed short-term rentals.
Well, she said, as I recall, in a meeting when she would come and give her monthly report, that they don't promote them because they're pretty unstable.
Correct.
Was what she said. And now, let's face it, my boys, your boys, if we're going someplace, they're not even thinking Holiday Inn.
I'm not thinking Holiday Inn either, but I understand your point.
I'm not thinking Marriott. I'm not thinking Hilton. Okay. We're thinking place. But the big thing was in March of 2025, the state finally came in and gave what should have been a real shot in the arm to rural communities like ours that don't have the numbers of hotel rooms, and to drive their tourism, we have the short-term rentals. And what the state did was they allowed us now to charge the state to charge sales tax on those short-term rentals.
Correct.
And I think that's a result of probably statewide, probably nationwide. We're seeing an increased use of the Airbnbs and other platforms of VRBO.
It also puts, hotels who have huge investments at a level playing field. Before, you were basically, in the state of New York, you were getting an 8% discount to stay in Airbnb.
Correct.
Right, so why wouldn't you take the discount?
Of course you would. Of course you would.
So they had a major advantage over hotels. And now they kind of leveled the playing field a little bit.
So if we look at it from roughly 2021 to 2026, 5-year period, we've gone from $900,000 in bed tax to $4 million, but now that $4 million is subject to sales tax. So, Rob, I'm sure that the significant increase that we've realized in sales tax revenue, and it's a sales tax-driven economy in this county.
It is
got to be partly attributed to your work in increasing the bed tax revenue.
So as far as the sales tax go, it didn't happen in my term. but it was the work that we had done. So for the first time in county's history, the sales tax outweighed property tax. The first year, my first year out of office,
right?
But on my last budget, my team's last budget, so we were growing into becoming a sales tax based economy.
Yeah, and so now into that economy, all of a sudden, is essentially a gift from the state of New York of 8% of $4 million.
Yeah.
So is that how we can explain the significant, what must be, I haven't looked at the numbers, but there must be a significant increase in sales tax revenue now?
So last year, we were let's just back up. So when I left office, when I lost my election and left office, right?
2023.
Because I was a despicable person, if I recall. Mm-hmm. We were one of 3 counties in the state of New York.
One of it out of 62.
Correct. That were stress-free, fiscally speaking.
Okay, so it was the best health assessment that Sullivan County has ever had.
Correct. Well, we only went back 100 years.
Right.
So we only went back 100 years because that's all the records that we had.
We could have asked your family.
Yeah, we could have asked my family. So my wife's family, yeah.
Right.
So those are the only records we had. So we were in the best financial shape we had ever been in. All during the boom town, during the hotel era, back to the tannery days, everything. You take in anything you wanted to take in, we were in the best shape we were ever in. Okay.
100 years.
So then last year, we were one of 5 counties that had negative sales tax growth.
What does that mean?
So that means that, let's say you did $80 million the year before, you did not reach the $80 million mark, you fell short of that mark.
So we got less in sales tax, which means we had less goods and services sold here in the county.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
But then the end of last year, middle of last year, the state gives us this 8% to $4 million.
Gift.
So that must have put us back over the top. So where are we now? How far above last year are we now?
So the state of New York, on average, is up 5.1% in sales tax.
Okay, well, we're way above that.
We are leading the state, Mike.
Outstanding. And I think that Nadia Reich deserves 100%
Well,
that.
hold on.
Credit.
Let me finish with my statement, Mike.
Yeah.
We're leading the state in decline. We're down 13.7% from last year, which was down 5 and change percent. We are absolutely in a fiscal free fall.
So without the sales tax on the Airbnb rentals.
Oh yeah, so we're in double. Just so you know, we're now in double. We're the only county in the state of New York, even though they gave us that gift. Okay, that we are down double-digit sales tax year over year.
So we're at 8% sales, 8 and a third. We're at 8% sales tax, 8% of $4 million, and even with that bump, with that addition, and that was something you can't compare apples and apples because you didn't have that.
Correct.
We were at a little over $3 million when you left office, and that was without that. So. Correct. We're down 13.7% now with that.
Correct.
Without it, we're down 20%.
We're down. Well, so here's the problem we have. So last year, Josh, the county manager, Josh Potosik, came out and said we need a 15% tax increase. Okay?
Right.
I'm sorry. I think he said a 9% tax increase. But Brian McPhillips, who's the head of OMB, okay, said we need a 15% tax increase. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So then they voted on going over the cap. Okay.
Right.
And they were prepared to set the county straight. Some people commented on Facebook, and then they took a vote, and they only raised taxes by 2%.
That is tremendous fiscal management by Brian and his cohorts there on the legislature. You got to give them a lot of credit. I mean, they got it from 9 down to 2. They must have sharpened their pencils. How'd they do it?
They lied to you.
Is that all you had to do?
That's all you had to do is lie. See, one of the things that people didn't like about me, I told you the truth.
Whether you liked it or not.
Right, this is what it is. I mean, maybe I could have been nicer about it, don't get me wrong, but the numbers are the numbers, okay?
You said we had to get rid of the nursing home because it was $1 million a month.
Correct.
Nobody was happy about that, but that was the fact.
Well, they have it now.
Well, they have it back now.
Yeah, they have it back now.
And they have less revenue.
So Josh Potosik, who we both know and love, right?
Yep.
So he put out a letter. You know how he puts out that letter, and that letter is the what's going on in the county, right? Let me pull this up.
The state of the county kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like Inside Insights, it's called. So the headline is Rough Fiscal Waters Ahead for County. Okay.
Wow.
And then he says, I prefer to share good news on the first page of the newsletter, but this time I feel it only right to let the taxpayers know what Sullivan County is facing in the months to come. Then he goes on to say that we'll be $14.5 million short of our budgetary anticipation of $77.5 million in sales tax revenue. They're going to be down $14.5 million.
But are they really going to be down? I mean, it seems to me that Josh, who's pretty good at what he does, he knew and he recognized that it was going to take a 9% increase to balance that. Well, so it seems to me that what the legislature did was falsely inflate revenue projections.
That's what they did.
To get it from 9% down to 2% with no reasonable expectation that they were going to meet those revenue objectives. I mean, Ion Sullivan told our audience that back in November.
Yeah, last year we told you.
Yeah, we told them about that. So, and we also said, wait till the middle of the year when the numbers aren't coming in and the expenses are where they are.
Correct.
And so, just so people understand, the way a budget is designed, you have revenues and you have expenses. They should balance out. Well, if you underestimate revenues, that's good. That's conservative. If
Correct.
you overestimate revenues and don't meet those objectives and don't cut the expense side, you've got problems.
Okay, so me and my team came in to a $14 million fund balance.
Correct.
Okay. We built it up to an $87 million fund balance. And don't get me wrong, we got hit with everything that everyone gets hit with all year long.
COVID.
I mean, you had expense after expense. The COVID monies, we only got $14 million in that. And we used that to help the college.
Correct.
Who just, by the way, just cut classes again, cut programs out again.
We're going to get to SUNY Sullivan in a few minutes.
Okay. And so it wasn't like we used that money, okay? We didn't get that much money. And why didn't we get that much money, Mike? Because we managed our losses properly.
Right.
I cannot stress that enough.
And the COVID money was based on losses.
Correct.
It wasn't just a gift from the state.
And one of the things that we did was manage our losses properly. The problem with this legislature is they're not managing their losses. They're just showing up barely 3 days a month, okay, voting on whatever's in front of them, okay, and then just moving on and like wherever it lands, it lands.
So if you see your principal objective as getting elected, a 9% tax increase is not consistent with getting elected.
But what are you going to do this year, Michael?
Well, they'll exhaust the rest of the fund balance and create a huge hole coming forward.
I was talking to someone in the finance department, and so we had put away for a rainy day fund.
Right.
This $34.2 million. Okay,
and that was in addition to the 87.
Correct. So it basically was to insulate us from any mass disaster. Okay. COVID, the mortgage crisis, we've had them
which you had gone through.
Correct. We lived through COVID, right? So, and what happens is, the state tells you basically, take a hike. When we get our situation figured out, we'll call you back, right? So we were like, we need to protect ourselves against this, and so we put away 2 years worth of money. I was talking to this
2 months worth of money.
2 months. So I was talking to this person in the finance department, and I said, well, how much of that do you think we'll have left? And that person said to me, it will be all gone by the end of mid of next year.
Wow.
So in my legislature, we came in with a $14 million fund balance.
Mm-hmm.
We built it up to 87. We filled up other accounts. We paid off $26 million early in bond payments. Did not bond a dime. How do you go from that in 2.5 years when you have more opportunities to gain revenues to an absolute free fall disaster?
All right, so I'm going to play the devil's advocate right now. Sales tax revenue is down. Mm-hmm. Step one, there was an artificial inflation of the expectation. Josh's budget had a sales tax projection that was closer to where we are now.
Yes.
Okay. But the legislature needed to inflate that so that they could pass a 2% increase.
I believe they inflated it to $77.5 million.
Which is way over what we've ever done.
One time, we did $80 million,
mm-hmm.
and they were basically basing it off of our highs.
Right.
Which, as you know, with budgeting, you never do that.
You never do.
Always play worst case scenario.
And they had the bed tax situation that you didn't have. Okay. But there are those who would say, does the legislature have any control over sales tax? I mean, what does the legislature have to do with selling cars or building products, goods and services across the county? How do you answer that?
So my answer to that is, it's confidence. Okay? Economics is all about confidence. Okay? People go out to eat more often if they feel that they're in a safe space. Otherwise, they just go to the store. Here's a prime example. Your food, when you buy it at a grocery store, is not taxed.
Correct.
Okay?
It's not prepared.
Correct. But when you go to a restaurant, it's taxed. Okay?
It's prepared.
Okay? So, even though we were in COVID, mm-hmm. okay, our food sales in restaurants went up, mm-hmm. okay, because people were confident. And when COVID ended, people went out more because they were confident, mm-hmm. okay? You don't go and buy the new car if, the black clouds are rolling in, financially speaking. You wait and you put it off, and you keep that car for an extra year. So instead of getting, 3 years out of a car, now you're getting 4 years out of a car. Do you change your deck this year? Do you put a new roof on? Do you wait a year? Because you don't have the confidence. Because everyone can see that the taxes are going to go up at some point.
Of course.
Or something's going to happen. I mean, these guys have played a game that is so nasty to the taxpayer. There's a bill coming. And whether these guys pay the bill or the next legislature pays the bill, someone's paying that bill.
So if you go back a year,
mm-hmm.
the price of gasoline has gone up about $1.50, and the price of diesel has gone up average across the country about $2.25 mm-hmm. per gallon. Mm-hmm. Now, the effect of that it's also gigantic. Unanticipated in November. Didn't know anything about the Iranian war going to start in February,
March. Keep in mind,
heating oil.
We had a very harsh winter, and the heating oil gets taxed also, and all commercial electricity
gets taxed.
So
all of that is really not in the control of the legislature, but would have yielded and has yielded more sales tax. The sales tax is a percentage. Correct. So if the price of gas is up $1.50 a gallon, and in this county we know people you use a lot of gas,
you can't go anywhere without driving.
So diesel and gasoline have gone up precipitously. That should be yielding even more sales tax revenue, and yet we're still down 13.7%.
Yeah, $14.5 million.
So what happens now on the back nine, so to speak, the last 6 months of the year?
All right, so how do you make it up?
Right.
You have a way to make it up? Because they have no idea how to make it up, okay? And they went against... So remember, the first year they're in office, that's on me, George, Mikey Brooks, Alan...
It's your budget. You put it together.
It's my budget, okay? So they sailed the first year.
And they really couldn't do much with it. It is what it is.
Right? They sailed the first year. They were like, how hard is this job, right? This job's pretty simple, mm-hmm. right? Then they had to do their own, okay? And we saw the disaster that was, okay? Now, who pays the price for them, playing on the edges there, right?
Just the taxpayers.
I mean, the taxpayer's going to pay the bill. You may not pay the bill this year, okay? But you're going to run out of the fund balance, and then you're going to have to start bonding. Okay?
Well, you can only play the shell game for so long.
Correct.
Ultimately, that hole has to be filled.
So now I'll give you a prime example. The reason I ran for office back in 2020, 2019 into 2020, was I own a couple of properties, and I was annoyed that my taxes were going up. They had broken the cap one year, and they went to the limit, the other years. And I was annoyed that they were overspending their revenues every year.
4 years in a row.
4 years in a row. And I was like, this is crazy to me. Now, keep in mind, I had no intention of being political. I was on the Republican committee and all that stuff, but that was more of a, you know about that, right, Mikey?
I had heard you were on the committee. I wasn't aware of that.
That is true. And and I was just going along, showing up to meetings, blah, blah, getting my petitions, doing,
right.
my service to my community.
A worker bee.
Yeah, correct. I was just some guy, right? And then I was like, I'm going to run because these guys are spending my money recklessly, right? So then, and I didn't realize how recklessly. As you know, once you're in office, you find out the real information.
Right.
If you talk to commissioners and you talk to finance people that, like I do, you find out some information, okay?
Hours a day with Josh in his office.
Correct.
Going through every... And I'm not talking about the month before you vote on the budget.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 12 months.
Correct. All the time. We were constantly, I didn't know Nancy Buck before I got in office. We became very good friends because, I was in her office, 2-3 times a week.
Sure.
In the back office, where the brains of the operation. Trust me when I tell you, those people in that back room. Oh my God, the work that they do. My eyes would bleed if I had to do that work. Talking to Angela Chevalier, and figuring stuff out. Talking to Janet, figuring stuff out. Talking to Lou. Just really finding out the numbers.
There are some really top-notch finance people working for the county.
Really, really smart
And none
people.
of them sit at the dais on Thursdays.
No. Really, really smart. And they kind of cringe at some of the questions being asked because it's just... So anyway, back to the point. So we worked on. These guys have tried to skate through this, and now we find ourselves in a pickle. So you're going to be down to a couple of items. One, you're going to deplete your savings, okay, which is always a bad idea.
Well, the $87 million is already down last year.
Oh, well, there'll be nothing left, according to some people I've spoken to, okay? They're going to have to start bonding, okay? Now, you're bonding for payroll. I want you to think about this. For basic services. Now, remember, when I came into office, they were bonding for roads.
Right. In fact, the game that they used to play was they did not include any money in the budget for roads.
Correct.
They would pass the budget, and then the gift to the county taxpayers was they would bond about $10 million a year for roads.
Correct.
So you never saw it in the budget. It was a loan.
Correct.
You slap down the credit card for $10 million every year.
Correct, and that's what happened.
Yep.
We got off that cycle, right?
Oh, in a hurry.
So my point was, like when we did a lot of this stuff, people don't understand. Okay, so I raised it from $14 million to $87 million. We paid off $26 million in bonds. We're talking about $100 million, over $110 million at this point in a 4-year term. I want you to understand that. Okay. They have already raised taxes in 2 years, and one of them being a flat-out lie, okay, more than my guys raised taxes.
In 4 years.
We raised taxes 3.83%. They've already raised taxes over 4%, okay? And the big numbers are coming, trust me. Or they're going to just lie and bond us into oblivion, okay?
Well, that's what they're going to do is... I see a lot of clients that artificially support a lifestyle with their credit card. And that's, folks, what you can't run your homes for very long on a credit card.
Cannot.
You're paying 30%, annual interest. And the credit card companies love you. You max out those cards. You have about $70,000, $80,000 in debt on the cards, and you're paying 29%, 30% a year. They will love you. They'll keep sending you credit cards.
Correct.
You can't operate a county that way.
You cannot.
And that's what they now are doing by bonding. That's a softened word. We're going to bond. We're going to pass a bond. Well, that means you're slapping down a credit card.
You're borrowing money to do day-to-day operations. Two most important things a county government does: highway safety and public safety. Correct.
And that's roads and, in our case, law enforcement.
So now, Mike Schiff, and when Scott Schulte was here, I think this is 2 months ago, goes to the legislature and they asked him for $130,000 for body cams.
Right.
I remember that was a big issue during the campaign. Big issue.
Yeah.
Right? They said, we think it's a great idea. We just don't have the money.
$130,000.
$130,000. Now, keep in mind, we were short on the airport, $2 million. We wrote a check. The Broadway project that Ed was trying to do
for 25 years.
For 25 years, that was a couple million. We were like, all right, let's write the check.
Because the village was mismanaged.
Correct.
And it couldn't get done without the village.
So then we put up the village's money, and that's a whole nother game that they're playing. But and then we pumped out that money. There was over $10 million of stuff that we paid.
When Mike Brooks came with the idea that we needed to bolster the security at the schools.
Yeah.
Came up with certainly over $100,000.
Oh yeah.
For the shields and the rifles,
it was like
$180,000.
The breaching tools,
and that was just okay. We're gonna do it. And then you got. You bought the door so that they could train on it.
Correct.
So that our people that are taking care of our children would be prepared.
We gave a lot of money to the sheriff's department to help with drug enforcement.
Yep.
We spent millions of dollars on a lot of different projects that these guys can't even pay attention at this point.
Well, I have to tell you, I tried a case, I don't know, about a month ago now, and boy, those videos that you got, those cameras that you bought the sheriff, the quality is really good. I would have hoped it would be a little bit more grainy. I blame some people very close to me who picked those cameras out. A little more grainy wouldn't have hurt. All right, so let's leave sales tax aside now. Where are we on jobs?
So we're down. Now, this is not my numbers, okay? This is New York State Department of Labor.
Right.
Okay? From December 31st, right, of 2023, okay, till I think the article came out in the Democrat a month ago, 2 months ago. We're down 6,000 jobs. 6,000 jobs.
Wow. All right. Now,
but understand why that's a problem, okay? One.
Where'd they go?
Okay. Again, it's a confidence issue. It's economic confidence.
Right.
I mean, why do depressions happen?
Right.
It's economic confidence, okay?
Which was a big part of, go back in history. Nothing to fear but fear itself.
Correct.
FDR, politically, he and I probably weren't on the same page, but the point is that if you study history, what he was saying was, we got you. We're going to fix this.
Correct.
Go out and live your lives.
Correct.
It's confidence. What you're saying.
Correct.
It was a confidence thing.
Economic confidence.
Right.
Okay. But when people feel that they don't know, what's coming around the corner now financially, they're going to be, a little sheepish on moving forward. And that's where they're at right now.
Sure.
Right? I mean, would you risk, taking on more debt? You're not going to because you're afraid. The
first of FDR's fireside chats was about confidence in the banking industry.
Correct.
That's really what it was about. It was about, folks, we have to be comfortable putting our money back in the banks. They're secure. And that was...
That was the FDIC.
That was FDR's first of his fireside chats. Delivered it from the Oval Office. That was what the theme was, confidence in the banking system as the country rebounded from the difference, scholars will tell you, the difference between a depression, recession, and the Great Depression was confidence.
Correct.
That's what it was.
Correct.
So in the 4 years that we would sit on Thursday mornings, and I remember that that legislator Scott was one of the big cheerleaders.
You used to have signs.
She would have signs. And she would attack you and me when she got tired of attacking you. And the big thing was the health rankings.
Okay.
And they tried to tie everything to the health rankings because they never actually looked to see, well, where did these health rankings come from?
Correct.
You did the homework and realized this is really an economic issue.
Correct.
This is a poverty measure, not a who's got sniffles or who's getting the common cold.
Remember when they filled the room because the Department of Health closed down in this county?
Right.
Which, by the way, I had a plan 8 months before they closed down to give them new space, and I was told no.
They closed down because the Democrats refused to follow your plan, and you knew. Why did he know? Because he was in the government center 60 hours a week, folks.
Correct.
He knew that you had the Department of Labor, Department of Health sharing a building on North Street in Monticello.
Correct.
It was not big enough for those two offices.
Correct.
One or the other had to go. You, without a lot of fanfare, developed a plan that would create another space for either one of them, and therefore they'd each have their own buildings.
The Department of Labor that
was going to move. So they'd each have their own building. And I remember one of the ranking Democrats said, "Absolutely not. We're not getting into the real estate business anymore. We're not doing anything else."
Because the term before they had blown the tobacco money on a building that was not suited for us.
Well, and they were told by the county architect and engineer that the building is not suited because of the work that has to be done. And another legislator said, well, we're the county. Why do we have to follow building code?
Correct.
That's exactly what happened, folks. And that's now a daycare facility. Your leadership got us out from under that $2 million debacle.
Correct.
And sold the building. It was a loss, but at least it was back on the tax rolls.
Correct.
And now it's a daycare facility, and it's doing well. But the health rankings was a big deal.
Correct.
And I remember...
And they still should be a big deal.
And it still should be a big deal. And I remember that you directed that every commissioner was to have something in their report that they were doing to target the health rankings.
Correct.
Because you looked at the criteria and you said every department in this county can have an impact on this.
Correct.
This is not the President's Council on Physical Fitness, which, by the way, is coming back.
Correct.
But that's not what this is. This isn't, we got to do more jumping jacks.
Correct.
And I remember there was an outcry from these folks
I remember that.
when the hospital was starting to move departments. And again, Chairman Doherty was 3-4 months ahead of this. He had been meeting with Jonathan Schiller before Jonathan left to go up to Binghamton or Elmira.
Oneida. Yeah.
You were meeting with him about the services at the hospital and what was going and where was their plan.
I'm still very friendly with him today.
Right. So now, fast forward, these people that were so critical of Chairman Doherty and his administration, what's happening now with healthcare in the county?
So, Crystal Run, stopped their infusion in this county, and they put it down in Middletown and Monroe. Okay, and now, they announced yesterday, and it's going to start on July 1st. They're going to stop all prenatal and OBGYN care in the county.
Now, with an impoverished population here in the county, we know the average household income is $65,000, and all you have to do is drive over to community services and social services and see the numbers of people that we have that are well below the poverty level.
Correct.
So now, instead of being able to get prenatal care, and I can tell you from presiding and working in family court for a lot of years, that we already have a lot of people who sidestep prenatal care and give birth to unhealthy babies.
Correct.
What's going to be the impact now of no OBGYN practice here in the county?
It's going to be a major impact. I mean, you're putting more people who are at risk at a larger risk. I mean, how are people going to get down to Middletown? Right, so our bus service was designed to stop at Crystal Run, stop at Garnet. Right, that was our system. The system that we had set up.
Middletown Medical, so people could get to medical appointments.
Correct. Well, now it's out of the county. We can't send buses out of the county. I mean,
even Laura Quigley can't do that.
Quigs can do a lot.
and
she's great.
I remember sitting in what was my office, and you met with Laura Quigley, the commissioner. Mm-hmm. And you said to her, we need to be targeting on these routes places where the lower income people can work, shop, and get medical attention.
Correct.
Those were the three things that you said these routes have to target those areas.
Because I had gone on the bus, I went on a couple of routes, and I just didn't think they were stopping where they needed to stop.
Right.
So the people who own the buses, right? Because we lease the buses. Phil Vallone and his family do a wonderful job and contribute tons to the county. They were looking at it as a business point of view.
Right.
Where we were like, no. We have to look at this as a rider point of view. Okay, right. And so if mom has, little Johnny sick, but she still has, Bobby and Mary at home, she has to be able to get on a bus and then be able to go to the hospital. She can't walk a half a mile to the hospital. She has to, has to stop there, has to stop at Walmart, has to stop at ShopRite, has to stop at, the major...
Stop at the government center. People can do business, transact business with the government.
All that stuff. It had to do that, and it had to be, stop in the work centers and the health centers.
And that was part of the initiative on the health rankings because it allowed people to work. It allowed people to not shop. It hurt your business.
It did.
It allowed people to not shop at local convenience stores where they could get to ShopRite or Walmart and get a wider variety at a lower cost.
And I thought it was a good thing for the county.
Instead of paying $40 for a taxi.
So one of the things that happened with the buses, like in Monticello, we went all the way down 42 to Sleepy Hollow. We went to other, large living communities. And what you saw was, and again, like my daddy used to tell me all the time, you don't put percentages in the bank, you put dollars in the bank. Mm-hmm. We went up, to over 36,000 people employed in this county. Currently, we have less than 31,000 employed in this county.
And if people want to say, you can't blame the legislature for that, it was that initiative. It was as difficult as, well, you live in Fallsburg. How are you going to get to Walmart to get a job? You can take a cab every day?
Well, that's
You're not going to make any money.
That's what was happening.
Of course.
So you see kids that were living in Sleepy Hollow, right? Mm-hmm. So my kids went to Monticello Central School district, right? Mm-hmm. So I knew a lot of the kids, right? And a lot of the kids came into my store, Carmine's Meat Market on Forestburg Road, and so I knew a lot of the families, right? Mm-hmm. And they would, a lot of the kids would be like, oh, you have a job. You only have so many people employed. But I was like, why don't you go Walmart? Why don't you go ShopRite? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, the cab's, $25, $30 one way, right? So, I mean, they can't spend $50 on a cab.
No.
When you're making $15 an hour.
No.
Do the math, right? So, so that's how, we really expanded the bus system so that younger people could get to work and then older people could get to work, and and it worked, and we had more people employed. We had 6,000 more people employed. I think it's like 6,100 actually than we do today.
And so we've got jobs are down.
Yeah.
Sales tax are down. Mm-hmm. Price of electric is way up.
Way up.
Commercial electric is paying sales tax, but yet we're still down 13.7% in sales tax. Price of fuel is way up.
Through the roof.
And we're still down. Bed tax has added to 8% of $4 million.
Yeah, $320,000.
And yet we're still down 13.7%. And 13.7% down, for those that will talk about, well, the economy is going to turn and everything it's a downturn in the economy. You can't blame the legislature. Every other county in the state is up.
Correct.
So this is a downturn in the economy that begins in Wardsboro, ends in Roscoe.
Correct. I think there's 3 or 4 counties that are down. There's no other county down double digits.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're leading the pack.
We are leading the pack to the bottom.
Number 1 of 62.
Correct.
All right. So one of the other initiatives that you were so high on, and rest in peace, Mikey Brooks.
My man.
In fact, in the second administration, the plan was to make Mike Brooks a liaison to the college board, or put him on the college board, because you saw the college as such an important tool for economic development. We haven't had a whole show on the college, but in the 5 or so minutes that we've got left, where is the college at right now?
So here's the good news of the college, okay? So we had started the Promise Scholarship, okay? Right. So that means if you graduate from a local, high school, that you were then able to go on to get your degree at the college, and you had bus service to get you there and all that. And
it was free.
For free, right? Then New York State came out with the Reconnect program, okay? So that's if you're 25 years old, up to 55, you got to go for free. And now remember, for 4 years I was saying, we have to increase our nursing program. We have to increase our nursing program. I kept saying,
many meetings about that.
I kept saying that. So the good news is they finally done it, right? So we used to average graduating 19 people a year. Keep in mind, 100 people apply a year. Okay, and we were only taking like 25 students, and there's a fall off rate, unfortunately, of about 18%.
It's a difficult program.
It's a very difficult program. It's very hard. But you want it to be hard, right? I mean, obviously. So
you don't want to get on a plane and get the pilot that says, "Well, I got a D in aviation."
Yeah. So the good news is that now they graduate 31 people.
All right.
Okay? So they're on the track. They're filling the system up. Orange County BOCES has a great program too. So now more nurses are being generated. And by the way, it's a ticket out of poverty also.
In a big way.
In a big way. Okay. So the college, unfortunately, we go back to the night ship issue.
Right.
Okay. So, and I've pushed Education Law 6301. I talk about it constantly, to where in my household, if I even bring it up, my wife is, like holding her ears, like blah, blah, blah.
So the state's a couple of years behind on their obligation.
1973.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. And now any state representative. And
53 years. Come on.
Okay. I don't care if it's my good friend Mike Martucci. I don't care if it's Peter Oberacker. I don't care if it's Aileen Gunther, who was a nurse herself. I don't care if it's Paula Kay. No one has stood on the floor of the Assembly of the State Senate and said, we must fund Education Law 630.
This is a law. It's not a suggestion.
Correct.
The law says that they must fund the community colleges 1/3 of their operating budget.
Correct.
And the county's 1/3. So we're roughly $4.5 million.
Correct.
The state should be coming up with $4.5 million, and the third comes from tuition.
Correct. Okay.
That's how community colleges are funded.
And fees and all that.
Right.
But the state has not done their job, right?
In 53 years.
In 53 years, okay? So...
And we keep voting for these people, and they haven't done their job. They haven't followed the law in
Correct.
53 years.
In 53 years. And I don't care if you like the person, don't like the person. If you take someone like Aileen Gunther, who did a lot of good in this county, okay?
Tremendous.
Okay?
Sure.
Okay? And was a former nurse, okay? She never, not 1 year, and she was in office for 20-some-odd years.
Right.
Never once went to the floor and said, we must, do this. So the reason why the college is in the trouble it's in is they get viewed differently than a 4-year SUNY, okay?
Right.
So you have to understand there's basically, of public education, there's 3 college systems in the state of New York.
Correct.
Okay? So there's CUNY, which is City University of New York, okay? And
it's like Hunter and Baruch and City College.
Oh, by the way, Hunter's the best value in the state of New York for a college, okay?
Right.
All right? So it's the 5 boroughs, okay? Then you have SUNY, right? 4-year colleges. You know, that's
Cortland, Oneonta,
all of them.
Oswego, Fredonia,
all of them,
Binghamton,
right?
Albany,
Geneseo, blah, blah, all over the place, right? Okay, then you have the little, the stepbrother there, and it's the 2-year colleges, okay? Which are very important to economic development in small counties.
But the difference there is that up until about, 15 years ago or so, the 2-year colleges were not even considered part of the SUNY system.
Correct.
So it was Sullivan County Community College. Now it's SUNY Sullivan, SUNY Orange, SUNY Ulster.
Correct. So they do not fund them the same way. Okay, so the problem that we have now, and this is 90% of their debt is owed to the state of New York.
Right. So New York Health Insurance Program, NYSHIP,
correct,
is where the employees get their health insurance.
Correct.
So the state of New York bills, just like they bill Sullivan County,
correct,
they bill the community college for their health insurance. That's not what happens at, say, Oneonta or Cortland.
No. So when there's an increase, they're funded that money.
Correct.
So let's say their insurance bill goes up by $500,000. Okay, Oneonta. Let's just use that for our example. So Oneonta, their NYSHIP bill goes up by $500,000. They get funded $500,000 more.
It's a paper transaction.
Correct.
They put the money into the university budget, and then they back it back out and goes to NYSHIP.
Correct.
They're all county agencies.
Correct. That does not happen.
State agencies.
Yeah, that does not happen with the 2-year colleges.
Right.
So the increase comes in, and there's no one there to fund them, no one to pay it, and meanwhile, the state of New York is not paying their third of a share on Education Law 6301. So now you have an absolute debacle, and it cost Jay Quinton's his job.
Correct.
Okay? And he was doing good things there. It cost him his job, and it was unfair what they did to him.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And
so we're getting the bill from the state.
Yeah.
We're not getting the revenue from the state.
Correct. And then that's the problem.
And that's the model of it being, as you called it, a stepchild.
Correct.
It's really not part of the SUNY system.
Correct.
It is from a curriculum standpoint.
Correct.
But the state doesn't see it as their responsibility.
And that's a problem.
Counties.
I've been an advocate of making our college a more of a trade school.
Right.
Because that's who we are as a county. And, you can go there and get your freshman math, your English, and all that fun stuff, and get your 15 credits that you need to, move on to your next college. But overall, I think that it should be.
So rough figures, the state of New York owes Sullivan County Community College about $200 million.
You're correct.
About $4 million a year for 53 years.
Correct.
So that's a real problem. And the college now, Jay is out, and Jay, we were seeing steady growth.
You were seeing growth.
We know that they've wiped out the athletic program, which brought in a couple hundred students a year.
Correct.
The Promise Scholarship brought in a couple hundred students a year.
Correct.
Where are we with our enrollment now at the college?
It's shrinking because they're starting to cut out curriculum. Right. So why would I go to this school for this? Why would I? The culinary program's taking a hit. Which was once there
was once 300 students in the culinary program.
So that's going down, and other areas are going down. And
dorms are closed.
They were poorly managed. Now, keep in mind, it's a private company.
Right.
Okay. They were poorly managed, and now they're just deteriorating to nothing.
They're the main dorms are just basically standing there empty.
Correct.
Wow. Okay, so we need to do probably a full show on SUNY Sullivan, but what we want to do today is we wanted to just give an overview, a report card halfway through the year, and the report card's not good. We're failing sales tax, we're failing jobs, we're failing electric, we're failing SUNY Sullivan, and we're failing healthcare. Those are pretty important areas, and we're failing all of them.
This legislature, this democratically led legislature, is failing this community in every aspect possible.
They have fancy brochures. They say wonderful, flowery things to get elected.
They give out certificates.
They give out nice certificates.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is they're really allowing this county that was flourishing 2.5 years ago is now on life support.
They're suffocating the life out of the next generation. Why would you want to stay here?
Well, that's it. And look, that was a problem that we had with my sons and yours.
Correct.
2 of your 3 sons are out of here, and 2 of my 3 sons are out of here.
Correct.
That's it. So 4 out of 6
and by the
healthy
way,
young people out.
Flourishing when they leave.
Flourishing, earning very, very well when they're out.
Correct.
Well, we're going to keep an eye on that stuff, because right now, when we would invite any of the legislators to come on here and explain to us why we're misapprehending what we say is the reality of what's happening here. In fact, we invite anyone, and we say to you, leave us a comment. Let us tell us what areas we should be keeping an eye on, and we certainly will be happy to have anybody on. That seat next to Rob is open, and we're always happy. Jacob says that we can get that person wired up.
I'll even warm it up for you.
He'll even warm it up for you.
We've had guests here.
We've had guests
there.
We've
had Tim Diamond. We've had the sheriff. We had Eric Chappelle.
And the undersheriff. We had Rich Herring.
Mike Brooks. God rest his soul.
God rest his soul.
We've had a lot of people here.
Yeah. So leave us a comment if you got an idea for a show, something you want to see. You want to let us know that, and we'll be sure to add that into the agenda. The other thing is, of course, subscribe. We get the viewership, and the subscription's up to 1,000. Then we go live streaming. And somebody at the Lumberland meeting last night, suggested live streaming, and that's the way we exchange news. And here is a platform that we invite all comers, and we invite all ideas. You want to come up and tell us why we are wrong about, say, county executive, whatever, come on in, let us know. We are always happy to learn and be educated on the other side. So be sure to leave us a comment. Be sure to subscribe. If you want to share the link with someone, share the whole link. Let everybody hear all of what we have to say. And then we get the viewership and the listenership and the audience up. If you are listening to us on YouTube, and most people do watch us on YouTube, which is amazing to me, because I've always been told that that I've got a face for radio. But they watch it.
But people family watch it.
Family watch it.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people that watch it with their wives and kids or something like that. Yeah. So. So it's kind of fun.
I walk around, and there's some people that don't want to admit that they watch it. So they'll grab me on the side, like as I'm walking out of the courtroom, and say, "Hey, I've been watching that show, that Ion Sullivan. It's really great. Really, don't tell anybody."
The funny thing is politically, people have said to me, like they tried to jab me with a line I said here, right? And so I know you watch my show.
I know you watch the show. So if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to
smash
that like button. So on behalf of the chairman, Rob Doherty, this is Mike McGuire. We thank you for joining us for this episode of Ion Sullivan. We ask you to stay safe as the weather turns better and warmer, and the lakes will be busy soon. Be sure to tune in next time for another edition of Ion Sullivan. Have a great week, folks.